A 200-pound Bullmastiff sat at the end of a hallway at 2:09 a.m. and did not move for 41 minutes. Nobody asked him to, nobody trained him for it, nobody in that house even knew it was happening. Then the camera caught it, and Ryan has never looked at that dog the same way since. The hallway was 6 feet wide. Duke took up 4 of them. He sat at the end of it every morning at 6:48 a.m., blue-collared, 200 pounds of fawn-colored Bullmastiff, completely still, watching Sophie's bedroom door with the focused patience of someone who had nowhere else to be and nothing more important to do. Sophie was 9 years old. Duke was not supposed to be hers. Ryan Callahan was 41, a software engineer from Columbus, Ohio, who had raised Sophie alone since she was 4. He was careful, methodical, and deeply uncomfortable with large decisions. He made lists, he researched things. He had spent 11 days comparing cordless vacuum models before buying one. But 6 months ago, his daughter had asked for a dog with the specific, sustained intensity that only a 9-year-old can maintain for 3 consecutive months without showing any signs of stopping. Ryan eventually calculated that agreeing would cost him less than the alternative. He went looking for something manageable, a medium-sized dog, something calm, something that did not require its own zip code. He did not find that. What he found was Duke, sitting in the back corner of Kennel 7 at the Franklin County shelter, facing the wall, not barking, not pacing, just sitting with his back to the room, to the noise, to the people walking past, as if he had decided the whole thing had nothing to do with him anymore. The shelter worker, a woman named Patricia, told Ryan he had been there for 4 months. She said it carefully, the way people say things they know are going to land hard. Ryan stood outside the kennel for a long time. Then he asked to see him outside. Duke walked out, sat down 3 feet from Ryan, and looked at him without moving, not aggressive, not eager, just evaluating, like he had done this before and was not going to waste either of their time. Ryan filled out the paperwork 20 minutes later. The shelter had listed him under a category Ryan had not noticed until he reached the car: returned twice. The first family kept him 11 days and said he was too much. The second lasted a weekend. Their note on the intake form said simply, "does not respect boundaries." Patricia had added a handwritten line underneath it, in smaller writing, that Ryan only noticed when he got home and looked at the paperwork again. It said, "he just wants to be near someone." Ryan folded the form and put it in the kitchen drawer. He did not throw it away. His neighbor Carol, who had lived across the street for 19 years, came outside when she saw Ryan unloading a 200-pound orthopedic dog bed from his trunk. She looked at Duke, standing in the driveway. She looked at Ryan. She walked back inside without a single word, and Ryan watched her turn the deadbolt from across the yard. Sophie was waiting at the front step. She did not move when she saw how large Duke was. She did not step back. She sat down on the concrete, cross-legged, and held out one open hand at his level, the way Ryan had taught her to greet dogs she did not know. Duke lowered his enormous head. He sniffed her hand for 3 seconds. Then he sat down directly in front of her and leaned the full side of his body against her small shoulder. She barely shifted. She looked up at Ryan with an expression that said, "obviously." That was the beginning of something Ryan did not have a name for yet. The first 2 weeks were an education in spatial reality. Duke moved through the house the way weather moves through a room. Not aggressive, not destructive, simply inevitable. He slept across the threshold of whatever doorway he chose, which meant getting to the bathroom after 10 p.m. required careful footwork and a certain willingness to negotiate. He consumed 9 pounds of food per week, which required its own line in Ryan's grocery budget. He generated enough body heat that the living room thermostat consistently read 2 degrees warmer than the rest of the house, a fact Ryan confirmed 3 times before accepting it as a permanent feature of the new arrangement. The couch was Duke's by day 4. Ryan had stopped raising the issue. Sophie found all of it completely reasonable. Dinner was its own negotiation. Duke did not beg. He had more dignity than that. He simply sat beside whoever was eating and maintained a steady, unblinking eye contact that communicated a clear and detailed opinion about the food distribution in that household. Sophie caved on night 2 and slid him a piece of chicken under the table. Duke accepted it with the composure of someone who had been expecting this since the meal began. Ryan told her not to do that again. She nodded. On night 3, Ryan caught himself sliding a piece of chicken under the table and decided to not mention it to anyone. By day 3, she had developed a system. She would announce her destination before moving through the house, so Duke could position himself ahead of her. Kitchen, bedroom, bathroom. Duke would rise, move, and settle before she arrived. She told Ryan he was her navigator. Ryan told her he was a 200-pound liability with fur. Sophie told him he was wrong. She had also given Duke a second name, Bernard, which she used exclusively when she felt he was being underappreciated. Ryan did not ask when that had started. He already knew the answer. She was not wrong. I can see you are still watching but have not subscribed yet. That honestly stings a little. Hit subscribe. You're gonna want to see what happens next. Ryan installed the hallway camera in month 3, not because of anything specific. Sophie's room was at the far end of the hall, and he simply liked knowing the house was covered. He set it up on a Tuesday and forgot about it the same afternoon. He remembered it on a Thursday 6 weeks later. He was scrolling through footage, fast-forwarding through empty hallways and dim amber light when something made him reach for the trackpad. 2:09 a.m. Duke was not in his usual spot near Ryan's room. He was at the far end of the hall, at Sophie's door, sitting. Perfectly upright, exactly the way he had been sitting the morning Ryan first brought him home. Not sleeping, not restless, just there, the blue collar barely visible in the glow of the nightlight, facing her door with the stillness of something that has made a decision and finished making it. Ryan let the footage play. Duke sat outside Sophie's door for 41 minutes without moving. Then he stood, walked the full length of the hallway, checked the front door, came back, and resumed his position as though he had never left. Ryan sat in the kitchen the next morning and watched it a second time, and a third. Then he called his sister in Portland. He did not say much. He just sent her the clip and waited. She called back 4 minutes later and said, "Ryan." He said, "I know." She said, "Has he done this every night?" Ryan went back through 2 weeks of footage. Every single night between 2 and 2:30 a.m., Duke was at that door, sometimes for 30 minutes, once for nearly an hour, always upright, always still, always facing Sophie's room like it was the only direction that mattered. Ryan closed the laptop and sat in the kitchen for a long time without moving. 3 weeks later, Sophie had a hard night. She was 9 years old, and sometimes 9 years old is just difficult in ways that do not need a specific reason. Ryan heard her at 2:37 a.m. and got up. He made it halfway down the hall before he stopped. Duke was already inside her room. He had pushed the door open with his head, crossed to her bed, and lowered himself onto the floor beside it, his chin resting on the mattress edge exactly at her eye level. Sophie had one hand resting on top of his head. She was not crying anymore. She was talking to him the way children talk to animals when they understand that the listening is real and the judgment is not. Ryan stood in the doorway for a long time. He did not go in. He leaned against the frame, watched Duke slow breathing in the low light, watched Sophie's hand on his head, and understood something he had not been prepared to understand when he drove home from that shelter parking lot 8 weeks earlier. The dog that 2 families had returned, the dog that Carol had deadbolted her door against, the dog whose intake form said does not respect boundaries, had picked a boundary of his own. Sophie's door, Sophie's floor, Sophie's 2 a.m. There was nothing left for Ryan to do. Sophie is 9.5 now. She has grown 2 inches and developed firm opinions on which of Duke's ears is softer, a debate she considers ongoing and Duke tolerates without comment. Duke has extended his sleeping territory to the full left side of her bed, a boundary negotiation that Sophie approved and Ryan did not contest. Sophie reads to him before sleep, the same way she does with books she loves, slowly, turning the pages toward him so he can see the pictures. Ryan has walked past that doorway on more nights than he can count. He has never interrupted it. Every morning at 6:48, Duke takes his position at the end of the hallway and waits. Every night, the camera records the same thing. A 200-pound Bullmastiff with a blue collar, sitting upright in the dark, watching a door that does not need him to watch it, and doing it anyway. Patricia from the shelter follows their story now. Ryan sent her the footage. She sent back 2 words. Told you. Carol came over last week. She had seen Sophie and Duke through the open front door, Sophie's back against his side in the hallway, his weight holding her steady like a wall that chose to stay. Ryan stood in the doorway for a moment before she said anything. Then she said, "I had no idea they were like that." Ryan smiled. "Neither did I," he said. "Not at first." There are dogs the world calls too much before they have done a single thing to deserve it. Dogs returned twice, labeled twice, set aside twice by people who read the weight on the card and missed everything underneath it. Dogs that sit in the back corner of a shelter kennel facing the wall, not because they have given up on people, but because they are waiting for the right one to finally stop and look. And sometimes, those dogs end up at the end of the right hallway at 2:19 a.m., doing something so quiet and so complete that a camera should never have been necessary to prove it. Duke did not wait to be asked. He found the person who needed him most, sat down beside her, and decided that was enough. Do you think a dog can choose who it protects, or does it just happen? Tell me in the comments.